Alright, we're doing an install for the Digital Guard Dawg keyless ignition system. This works like an RFID. You'll find on a lot of your higher end vehicles. I believe Harley has it as an option on their bikes as well. You no longer have to use the key for the ignition. Matter of fact, you're going to completely remove your ignition switch. You are going to then carry just a small little key fob in your pocket. You get close enough, the bike will fire up for you when you turn the kill switch on and hit the starter button. Pretty easy, pretty simple. Install's supposed to be simple as well, and I'm going to show you how to do it here. On the inside, on my kit, and this is pretty universal, you're going to find a bag with connectors, the aforementioned key fob, and the unit itself. Some of them will also have an accessory button if you're riding something like Goldwing, where you're going to have accessories you might want to have access to when the bike's not running itself. I'm not going to be covering that part, but it should be pretty easy as well. The instructions are pretty clear. Other than that, also comes with a little instruction booklet. Hopefully you won't need that after this video. First things first, whenever you're doing something electrical, is to disconnect the battery so you don't get a nice little tickle if you touch something you shouldn't. 2011 Victory Crossroads, relatively simple. You have a 13mm bolt here, down here, and then this is going to be a 5mm Allen wrench. Do not completely remove them, simply loosen them, keep them threaded, otherwise it's a little difficult to put them back in when you're trying to line it up, but nothing too terrible if you do happen or just feel like taking it all the way out. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Once you have those loosened, you're going to come to the shroud itself. You're going to have four 4mm Allen wrench heads, which all have washers. There's going to be a lot of little screws throughout this process, so make sure you have somewhere to put them. There's one here and one here. Then at the bottom, coming up from underneath, you'll have one here and one over here. Simply remove them and their washers, and you're good to go. Once you have that done, you can grab this, wiggle around, and there's your battery. Once you have that done, simply connect the post, and this portion is done and ready to roll. Alright, next step's probably the easiest of them all. You're going to be removing the ignition switch altogether. When doing that, you have to access it, so I'm just going to make everything that I need to get a hold of accessible here. Left side, clutch side, just grab, give it a nice firm tug, good to go. There's 3 little metal prongs, really easy, should come off pretty easily. If there's an issue, try not to force it, just give it some wiggle and it's going to come right off. That's going to get you access to the ignition switch. You'll notice when you have this off, there's a hole and there's not going to be an ignition switch in there anymore. I'll go over what to do with that, or at least what I'm going to do with that later on. After you have that part accessed, you need to get into the front bucket for the headlights. This is where pretty much all the wiring is going to be for every Victory that I'm aware of, at least that's what I'm told. Again, this is going to be Victory Crossroads specific. Pretty easy. There's 4 bolts, all Allen wrench heads. You're going to take one here on the top that goes from the top down, and this one's the fun one. It's down here going up. You'll notice on the turn signals bar there's a hole right here. Reason for that, you're going to want to use this style Allen wrench. All the others are a pain. These make it a lot easier. You're going to do that on both sides, over there, over here. Once that's done, lift, just be careful, it's chrome, you don't want to scratch it up. Bottom bucket stays intact because it's mounted elsewhere. That's how you access what you need to get a hold of. Alright, I'm going to start with the easier of the 2 primary steps that you have to do on this. After we've already removed the wedge cover, you're going to find the ignition switch here. On my bike, there's one 10mm bolt. Use your socket, wrench, whatever you feel like. Remove it, somewhere for safekeeping. Push. Takes a little bit of an angle. You might have to fight with it a little bit, but nothing too terrible. Down it comes. This piece here is connected back there to this piece. There's a small black tab on one of the sides, not on both of the sides. Simply push that in with a thumb and pull down on the switch. Out she comes, nice and easy. Alright, you're going to go and plug in the other end from the Digital Guard Dawg unit itself. If you look closely, a little too close there, you'll see that there are little ridges on 3 of the sides. 4th side has that. When you look at the part you're connecting it to, it'll have pieces that match this. Make sure you line them up, slide it in, and it snaps on. You're good to go. Alright, next step is going to be your ground wire. This is going to be the single black wire coming off the Digital Guard Dawg unit. The one with two that are connected, that's for your accessory button should you be using it. We're not in this install. First thing you're going to do is strip off 1/4 to 1/2 inch of the cover for your wire. These are individual fibers within the wire, so you're going to want to take them, twist them so that they become one unit, and then what you're going to do is taking from left to right, wrap it around the screw. The reason you do that is as you're screwing it in, it's going to catch instead of come loose. Where I'm going to screw this in is where I took it out from. You have the piece here that the cheese wedge mounts to, and back here are going to be 2 mounting points on my bike. Probably going to be pretty similar in every Victory. Chose this spot because it connects right to the jugs. Nice good ground, nice and solid. Everything I'm doing here is going to be a temporary setup right now until I know everything's working. Then I'll put everything in permanently. Usually a good idea when you're doing stuff like this. Alright, fun time. I'm a novice when it comes to electrical work. I've done a hidden install for an air horn on my bike. Very simple. I don't get into too much wiring, so if I can tackle this, I'm pretty sure anybody can. We're going to do a pretty simple job in here, nothing too drastic. When you open it up, it's a bit intimidating. More people are going to look at it and not even want to mess with it. Don't worry, Victory does a really good job of labeling things. You're going to start at your kill switch and starter button, follow those wires and cables all the way over to the headlight bucket. The one you're looking for is this one here. It's wrapped. It's not a cable, it's just a bunch of wires with a wrap around it. Follow this piece into the bucket. Clear everything out of the way. There's a lot of stuff in the way. That's going to go to a connector, and that connector then goes into this big old piece that's going to run back underneath the tank and everything. Before the connector, between the connector and the switches on the handlebars, this is again right side, throttle side, you're going to find 2 wires. A pink one and a black and red one. We're going to cut them, give yourself about 1 inch, strip them a little bit so you can make some connections. You'll have 4 points left. You'll have the black and red plus the pink coming out of the connector. You're going to take those two and you're going to connect them together. You can use pigtails. I would recommend either soldering them, or I'm not big on soldering, so I'm just going to use the butt connectors that were included in the kit. That's going to leave 2 more exposed connections. That's going to be this one for the black and red again, and the pink following back to the switches on the handlebar on the throttle side. These ends are going to be connecting to the Digital Guard Dawg unit. Easy way to remember: solid color, two-tone, two-tone. So the black and red on the bike is going to connect to the white and black on the Digital Guard Dawg unit. Pink is going to attach to the gray on the Digital Guard Dawg unit. The gray and the black and white come through on 1 wire sheath, so they're pretty easy to find. And they're one of only 4 that are on there anyhow, so you're going to be pretty easy. I'll show you a little bit once I have it all connected here. Alright, got the connections made. As said before, I'm just using a couple pigtails to make it quick and easy so I can test my connections before I do everything on a hard install. You'll even see I have the wire running down to the unit, the ground, the ignition connection, etc. She's just sitting there hanging out. We have gray to pink, black and white to red and black. These are coming from the unit. These are following back to the switches. And then the other one coming off of the connector here, you're simply connecting the pink to the red and black. Once that's done, should be ready to roll soon. Alright, it's go time. Basic wiring, disassembly, all that fun stuff before going to finished product so we can get a test mule set up essentially. Probably a half hour, that is not including video time. Might take you 45 minutes, an hour, just kind of depends on how quickly you want to work. Tags are supposed to ship in manual mode, so we're going to test everything, make sure it's working. Walk up to the bike, hit the kill switch, bike should not come on. As you can see, it did not. Turn it back off. I'm going to grab the key fob. You're going to press and hold both buttons. You'll see that light came on. Let go. Once it stops, it's going to blink 5 times. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to put this in my pocket. That's where the magic should start. Walk up. We have lights. As you'll see, I have no key, no ignition, simply the Digital Guard Dawg unit wired up into everything. So let's see what it does. Just like that. Fires up, no key.